Sir, the way G20 is being held in India and so many aspects are being covered, how do you see India being chair of the G20 and a series of meetings being planned one after another in Mumbai and other parts of the country in the whole year?
At a time when the world is facing a number of crises, from food to fuel to finance, India hosting the G20 presidency is a very important responsibility on India's shoulders to carry the world through this moment of crisis. But hosting these meetings across the country, showcasing the beauty of India, the diversity of India, and the developmental ideas of India for the world is what these meetings are about. For instance, we are showcasing this mission life today here in Mumbai. How our lifestyles can not just change at an individual level, but how we can create completely new economies that are much more sustainable. How do we bring in trillions of dollars for the billions of people living in the global south for sustainable infrastructure? How do we build in the architecture for more energy security and for the energy technologies of the future? How do we bring in more resources to progress on the sustainable development goals? India has a number of examples to showcase, from its digital financial inclusion to its clean energy transformation, to its mission on green hydrogen, to its mission on lifestyles, to its work around sustainable agriculture, to its work around sustainable cities and transport. These are all stories of India's development progress that India wants to showcase, but also help to bring the world along in a spirit of partnership, in a spirit of being action-oriented to move much more quickly towards achieving the sustainable development goals.
If we talk about the group, it's only a group of 20 countries and few inviting countries are also there. But if we talk about the numbers, 85% of the world GDP comes from these 20 countries or the member countries of G20. So in many ways it's going to change the globe and its future, especially the financial cooperation and sustainability which they are talking about 2030. So how do you see, are we going to get a goal for G20 or for a global goal including all the countries of the world?
India is committed to multilateralism. It recognizes that the G20 is a body that accounts for 85% of the global economy, and therefore there is an economic responsibility. But as India has very clearly articulated, it also is seeking to be a voice of the global south and a bridge across to the global north. It is by bringing the north and the south together, the rich and the poor together, the large and the small, the vulnerable, to showcase that we can create a more mission-oriented, more action-oriented spirit of cooperation at a time of global crisis. So what we do with the G20 will also then feed up to the larger multilateral institutions, whether it's the United Nations, the multilateral financial institutions like the World Bank, the IMF, the WTO, and so forth. Thank you.
I'm Belén García-Elcat, and I'm a head of the delegation of the Argentine Republic. And I'm very impressed by how efficient everything is being done at the G20 organized by India, and also very grateful for the hospitality.
India is hosting the G20 first time. How's your experience in Mumbai today?
Excellent, very beautiful, and I'm very, very pleased. Thank you so much.
We are seeing that after the COVID, many problems arises in the world, like in sustainable development programs, climate programs. So you are thinking that we resolve this problem till 2030 from these meetings?
We are going to do our best, make our best effort, and I think countries are committed. We'll see what happens.
Any greetings in Indian language? You know, namaste.
Namaste, namaskar, and dhanyavad. Thank you so much.
I'm Fernando Burgos. I'm the delegate from Spain in this first DWG meeting.
So how was your experience? India is hosting first G20 presidency in Mumbai.
So it's been a wonderful experience. Up to now, everything has been incredibly well organized. We've been very well treated, and things are going, I believe, as planned. And for us, things are easy because of how well everything is being presented.
After the COVID, we see many problems in the world, in sustainable development, also climate changes. You thought that this problem is resolved after 2030 through these meetings and all?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? Because
after the COVID, we see many problems in the world. You thought this types of meeting resolve these problems in future?
Yeah, so of course these meetings are essential to get the 2030 agenda back on track. COVID and many other issues have made us recess our development in all countries. For the first time in history, the Human Development Index has decreased 2 years in a row. So these meetings now are more essential than ever to get us back on track to the 2030 agenda. And I think the G20 is an essential forum to do that.
Sherpa of G20, Mr. Amitabh Kant, yesterday said that this is a challenging time for G20 and India has taken presidency in these challenging times. But every challenge has a chance of opportunity also. So do you believe that India can make this challenge as an opportunity?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. For what I've seen, India is very well prepared for this presidency, and even though it's challenging times, it could be a point in which countries can collaborate once again to overcome these challenges, and India could be the facilitator, an essential facilitator to have that dialogue and to get countries to collaborate to get us back on track for the 2030 agenda and for other issues which are very important.
SDG is something which is very close to the idea of G20. So do you believe that despite the COVID disturbing 2 years, SDG of 2030 will be achieved?
So it's a very difficult challenge. Of course, having initiatives such as these, as the G20 and the priorities that India have set forward can help achieve the SDGs. It's difficult to say now that if in 7 years' time we're going to be able to achieve them, but I believe that if we all work together, we might do it, and that should be our aim of all G20 countries, as well as all countries who are implementing the 2030 agenda.
This is quite aspiring presidency for India, because India has been first time leading such a big group of countries and such a group which is 85% of the world economy. So do you think that India will be able to deliver?
So absolutely. So what we have seen is that India has the resources, India has a plan, and with those two things, they could put forward an agenda that could be adopted by all. And in that sense, it could be a very important presidency in the history of G20, and of course, lead to help countries achieve the 2030 agenda and the international community as a whole achieve that agenda. So absolutely, India can do it. Thank you very much.
I'm Frank Gierkens. I'm the Consul General of Belgium here in Mumbai.
Sir, G20 is now being chaired by India, and this is the first kind of event in India is happening, and you're part of it. How do you feel about this, and what do you hope from this meeting and 3-4 days long schedule from here?
Well, obviously for a great nation, this is a great occasion. India has the ambition of being a world leader, and I think the presidency of G20 confirms that the whole world recognizes that role. So I'm expecting a lot, together with all the people of India, of course.
A lot to be done in the front of finances and the sustainable development. So how do you think India and the other members of this G20 will balance all this?
Well, there are so many challenges which are worldwide, and I think the history and the wisdom of India will certainly be a good guide for the next year to come. Thank you.
My name is Giuseppe De Simone. I'm here with UNIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization.
Now India is hosting the G20 presidency. How do you feel and how is the arrangements?
Well, it's a great opportunity, I think, for the world, for the developing world, continuing a series of presidencies in which developing countries, emerging economies are taking the lead and showing the rest of the world the priorities that should be taken care of from the perspective of the global South, and I think that is an excellent situation. Yeah.
After the COVID, we see that many problems arises in sustainable development, also climate changes. Do you feel that after this G20 meetings we resolve these problems in 2030?
Well, if one presidency was enough to solve the problems, we would be in a much better world. Unfortunately, these things require long-term commitment, but the impetus and the momentum that the presidency can certainly bring a lot of the political will and some of the solutions required for this. Yes.
Any greetings in
Why do namaste? You can say namaste, and then I will have to learn. But I'm sure that if you ask me at the end of the presidency, I will be better. Yeah? Thank you so much. And namaste.
What does your organization do? What role do you all play?
Well, our organization is a policy research institute, which usually works for the government, civil society to their policy development or negotiation and actions with the citizens toward climate change mitigation, adaptation, biodiversity conservation, and sustainable consumption and production. And this time, we are invited by the United Nations Environment Program to participate to their side event for promoting the LIFE initiative, Lifestyle for Environment initiative, initiated by Prime Minister Modi. So it's my pleasure to be here.
Okay. So we know for a fact that there are pressing issues happening in the world apart from the war going on, apart from the rising prices of the energy and other materials, food materials. Environment is one thing which everyone has to look at right now, because climate change is real and lots of things are there which is affecting the world as a whole. So G20 plays a major role. It's a ray of hope amidst this whole situation. How is this instrumental in changing people's, what they're doing at the ground, and how will things shape up after this?
Yes, thank you. That's a good point. Well, actually, when it comes to sustainable lifestyle issues, which I have been and my institute has been working on, usually it deals with the reduction of environmentally harmful behavior of the citizens. But this doesn't work well in the context of different countries or different societies like India, because we still need to increase the consumption to meet their basic needs for the people. So G20 has as you said, it's a very important role to exchange the different opinions about what sustainable lifestyles means for the society and for the people with different backgrounds.
So how do you see G20 under the leadership of India, because India is hosting it, and whole year there'll be more than 200 plus meetings. So how do you see India hosting the whole G20?
Yes, so what is great about India's presidency, and particularly the LIFE initiative, is that it definitely clearly connects their ordinary issues for sustainable development and meeting the essential needs for the people, and together with the climate mitigation, adaptation, biodiversity loss, and so on. And this is the only way we can, together with the rest of the world, to achieve the sustainable development, which leaves no one behind.
All right, thank you very much for joining us. So that was Atsushi. He was mentioning about how his organization is instrumental, and also we know for the fact that environmental issues are one issue that everyone needs to look at it, and very immediate. With camera person Gaurav Kagra, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai. Okay, so the G20 summit, the G20 meeting is happening here, and the developmental working group meeting is happening in Mumbai. How do you see this under the presidency of India? The whole meeting is going on.
So I'm coming from the United Nations, from a development organization called UNIDO, which is for economic development. And for us, the development working group meeting is maybe the most important part of the G20 presidency of India, because this can charter, the world can charter for the many middle income and developing countries a way forward, not only for those in the G20, but also for those beyond, because the G20 are a model for many other countries and provide the general policy setting on how to move forward. And I think the Indian government has a very ambitious but very fulfillable agenda, which is putting our globe at the center. Our globe and its inhabitants. And the Indian presidency will almost certainly move forward with the combination of development, of making people's lives secure and better, and of, at the same time, improving the environment. And I find that an excellent agenda, an excellent starting point for the presidency, and I'm sure in the coming year we will see a lot of progress and actually see the beginning of transformational change that we have for so long been waiting for.
the name of the organization that I represent, that I helped found and was initiated by the Principal Scientific Advisor in 2019, is called the ECHO Network. And we called it the ECHO Network because we believe in the power of listening first and then giving back. And so I'll be talking about the importance of listening and building trust and building community for addressing the Sustainable Development Goals in India particularly, but also across the world.
Okay. We know for a fact that SDGs are something very important that will be discussed here in G20s over the years, and also here because India is especially organizing more than 200 meetings. SDG would be playing a major role. So how do you plan to take people on the same platform, not just Indians but the whole world?
Well, I believe very strongly in community action. I think that every single community has to address this in their own way. I don't think we can make a blanket statement, especially in a country as diverse as India, which is a good representation of our planet, I think. And I believe in that power of creating local champions, working with communities, understanding their value systems, and then building communities of practice that work together with academicians like me and companies and governments to actually address these goals.
So the meeting, the G20 meeting is happening in India. So India has taken the presidency. How do you see this whole, India taking the lead in the G20?
Well, I moved to India in 2014 as a scientist because I believed in the power of this country to inspire the future of this planet. I think it represents tremendous diversity, not only of people, but also of ecosystems as well. And it's really that blend of different kinds of people and different kinds of lands that we have to learn how to live together with. And I think India is the perfect country to really lead that way for the planet.
All right. Thank you very much for joining and talking all about that. Thank you. The camera. Ready? How do you see India hosting the G20 presidency this year?
This year, so because you know that I arrived yesterday night, right? So now, actually, in terms of the facility, so I think that terrific. So when I went from the apartment to here, so I think that it's very, very, like the cheerful spirit, how to organize this event, right? So, and in terms of the substance, so I think the data, it is not easy, right? It is very, very challenging issues on data. But you know that based on the data, so I think that we can improve. It's like a leverage on how we can improve our quality of services, quality of policy, and so on. So I think that it is very perfect choice, I think, for India.
Well, India is also, discussing on a lot of issues, and one of them is women-led development. How do you see this particular issue? Because it's the need of the hour.
So I think this is also the good choice, right? So even that this issue, we talk everything about the women-led development, right? So but that the focus that raised by India, I think this is again that very challenging, but this is actually we have to see how we can implement this one, the policy, the strategy that we are going to discuss, of course, right? So in our G20 on the India presidency. So I think that this is a good, excellent choice, I think.
Thank you.
You were not there. You were not there. I was here at quarter past. You can ask people. Okay, I'll be very quick. They said 30 seconds and then it's 30-30.
It's 1 minute here. Okay, so India is hosting the G20 presidency, the whole G20 meeting. What were the matters that were discussed today in the development working group, and how do you see the whole presidency?
The most important issue for India and for us, South Africa as a developing country, is this continuous theme of accelerating sustainable development goals and the entire sustainable development agenda, accelerating and giving it impetus, because what has happened with COVID-19 the pushing back to 2016 Human Development Index values. That is of concern, particularly for many developing countries. So the immediate issues of ensuring food security, energy, just energy transition, especially important for many developing countries, including South Africa, were driving that as well. It's been a great, the hospitality that the Indian community has shown is really great. And moving forward, we hope that we will have concrete, actionable plans to literally, systemically transform a society, leaving no one behind. Thank you.
So you're here in India, where India is doing the G20 presidency, and on the sidelines you also get to see India's culture, Maharashtra's culture. You were here at these local shops. How was your experience?
This is very nice, and actually I've been in Mumbai for 2 years now. So I really love Mumbai, and I enjoy the richness of its culture. And right at the side event of this G20 DW, we can see the introducing of Maharashtra culture, especially since the DW now is currently hosted by Mumbai. And the partners, I'm sure, will glad and have enriched by how rich is the Maharashtra culture.
You were seeing these shops, so were you able to take knowledge about what these are, how it's done?
Yes, I think it's very, very nice handicraft, especially, and they show you how it is made and what it is made of. And well, if you like ethnic and traditional handicraft, well, this is good. I mean, I really recommend for all of the partners that is attending the GW meeting here in Mumbai.
Also, the meetings are happening. How do you see the broad agenda and the discussions that are happening?
Yes, actually, India is continuing agenda that is previously hosted by Indonesia, and Indonesia is glad that India is continuing our agenda. And in that continuation, we have hope there is some improvement made by all of the partners they're discussing in the meeting room. Yeah, especially in main issues such like inflation and food shortage and climate change also.
All right. So your name and from which country are you?
I am Andy from Indonesia Consulate General based in Mumbai here.
You were here at the G20 presidency, and we see that you've done some shopping.
Oh yes,
from
I
the
have.
Maharashtra's traditional weaving and all. What all did you see and how did you like it?
Oh, I like it a lot, and there are so many different things that you can actually buy here. I'm really grateful that so many people from local communities selling local products have found their time to come here and share with us their produce. I'm really impressed with the selection.
Were you able to, enlighten yourself about what you've got, about the history of the product?
Oh yes, I have been able, and thanks to, again, very helpful salesmen in the respective shops.
Do you remember the name of what you've bought?
Yes, I've bought some chocolate from Bombay Sweet Shop.
Okay.
I've also bought some tea from Satnia, I think is the name.
Yeah.
And I'm looking also at buying some pictures from a local tribesman.
All right. What's your name and what's your country?
My name is Ekaterina. I'm from Russia.
So you are having filter coffee. Do you know what is it and how are you feeling it? How are you finding it?
I don't know exactly what it is, but it's wonderful.
Okay.
I like it very
filter
much.
coffee.
It's called the filter coffee. Well, we have filter coffee in Europe, but this is different. I like it very much.
Okay, and also you are getting to see the local handicraft, the local tradition in weaving, in their these kind of instruments. How are you finding this?
Very, very interesting. I don't know much about the handicraft in India. First time I am here in India, so I like it very much. I'm trying to figure out whether I buy something, like maybe a scarf or so, or there they have some sweets. This is nice to take home.
Okay, how are you finding G20 presidency in India?
Perfect. Very good. Very well organized. We love it here. Everybody treats us with love, and we love that.
All right. Would you like to share what the matters were discussed inside the development working group?
Well, it's about global challenges in development, the Agenda 2030 with the Sustainable Development Goals. So we want to make sure that all actors and all members can support India's presidency.
All right. So your name and your country.
Paul Garekoche from Germany.
What were the matters that were discussed in the development working group today?
Well, at the time of very strained situation in the world in terms of post-COVID recovery, consequences of the war in Ukraine, how we as G20 community can come and help under the leadership of the Indian presidency to help countries in need with innovative ideas.
Also, we are seeing that the world is going through a recession. There are price rises of food and other essential elements, essential products. How does India take a lead in matters like this and show a way to the world?
Well, India, I think, is a very interesting country because it's a role model for many developing countries everywhere. You, I think, naturally exercise a leadership role for many countries in Asia, in Africa, who look at your development model, how in certain aspects you have been able to leapfrog development. For instance, I mean, the leadership on India on digital matters is very well known and admired by many everywhere. So I think you have a very interesting solutions to offer to the world.
Okay. What do you plan, for your country to take from here as a piece of, expertise? Like you mentioned, the digital transformation. What do you plan to take from here?
Well, we are still shaping the agenda together. So I represent the European Union. We think that in this first meeting we are mapping out the most constructive ideas that we can roll out for the year ahead. What it will be specifically is precisely the purpose of this meeting.
Your name and your designation.
So I'm Daniel Jorev. I'm head of unit for sustainable development policy with the European Commission, so the European Union.
Merci beaucoup. You sat on this weaving machine. How was the experience, and were you able to know what is this machine about?
Yes, I was able to understand what is the purpose of this machine, which is fantastic. This is what you're producing. And my experience with a 1 minute training, I think I need a month capacity and training because to learn more about it.
All right.
Okay,
how do you find the Maharashtra's culture and tradition that is on display today?
I think it's super rich, very diversified, and so it's a lot of opportunity to understand in details. Unfortunately, I'm personally here for a very brief period, so I can just taste a little bit of this, but hopefully in the future we might.
Your name and your country.
My name is Loredana Magni, and my country is Italy.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
How was your experience, and how much information you could gather?
Well, I definitely do not know how to do this very well. I think India has a rich culture and rich heritage, and I think we should preserve it. And I'm very happy to have the experience, to have the chance to be here to try it out. So thank you very much. But I need to practice a little bit more. Thank you.
Did they tell you what is it all about, and what uses are there of this particular machine?
Sorry, could you repeat that? Yeah.
Did they tell you about the machine and what is the use?
Yes, definitely. Well, you have lots of interesting fabrics here in India, and I think you make beautiful dresses.
All right. Okay. Also, there are lots of handicrafts, like Patni and the Himru shawls are on display. Apart from that, there's something called Bidri work, which is done on the zinc metal, and those carvings works are also represented over here. Were you able to have a look on all these products that are on display from Maharashtra?
Yes, very interesting items that you have here, and beautiful, and as I said, very rich culture here. I'll definitely come back and visit.
Okay. Apart from this, apart from the culture and tradition, what really transpired here at the Development Working Group meeting on the first day?
Well, I think we discussed very important issues, which is how we can basically assist developing countries in achieving the sustainable development goals. The international community is off track to do so, and I think G20, as a grouping of 20, important economies, there is very much it can play a leadership role in guiding us how to ensure that we help the developing countries achieve.
So you mentioned, G20 can play a major role in guiding all the member countries as well as the whole world. India is also taking lead in various other, sectors and sections. How can India lead the way in this particular G20 presidency? Once the presidency is done, once the meetings are done, how can India lead the way for the world?
Well, I think India has already, is playing a very important role. It is chairing the G20 presidency this year, and and India is working together with Indonesia, which just completed its chairmanship year, and India is also working with Brazil and South Africa next to ensure that there's continuity in G20's efforts, and this is very important because it's a multi-year plan. And trying to assist the developing countries on the 2030 agenda we need a lot of effort in doing that.
And India is doing good on that?
Excellent work. Thank you.
Thank you very much for talking to us, and you enjoy your stay here. So that was Faye from Singapore, and like her, many other delegates, foreign delegates, have tried their hands on, the vada pav which has been presented over here, samosas which have been presented over here. And sir, what have you tried from the delegacy? So one bite. Have you tried the samosas and the vada pavs?
I tried a lovely Bombay sweet shop delicacy, something I never had before, a combination of chocolate and toffee, and just really delightful. Met some wonderful entrepreneurs doing nice work here as well, doing some little handcrafting. Very nice.
Were you able to understand what that art is called? And it's from Maharashtra. So Maharashtra is showcasing their talent, their handicrafts, and all that we have. So how did you find all this?
Oh, I found it quite wonderful. It's great that artisans have an opportunity to be able to sell their crafts after they put so much work into it. I'm sure they put more than just their labor, but also their heart into their work.
All right. How is India hosting the entire presidency?
Oh, it's been fantastic so far. It's really been a great time here. Learning a lot about India as we are here, and also enjoying to meet a lot of wonderful people.
Lastly, how can India, play a lead role in showing the way to the world through the G20 presidency?
Oh, I think they already are showing doing a lead role. They're just a wonderful partner to work with in global development issues, and I think they should just keep doing what they're doing and keep going forward.
Your name and your country?
I work I'm with USAID, and I'm Warren Harity.
Thank you very much, and we hope that you have a good stay here, and you could also enjoy the Kanheri Caves, which is there slated for 16th, and you can also see the Indian heritage sites that we have to offer. So yes, like I mentioned, that a lot of foreign delegates are coming and they are tasting these delicacies that Maharashtra or India has to offer, and they're also trying their hands on this particular weaving machine, and they're getting to know more in depth about Maharashtra's culture and cuisine. With camera person Gaurav Kagra, this is Shama Mishra for DD News, Mumbai.
For your contribution in making this event truly spectacular. The whole performance was very colorful, very rich, and it's full of diversity. So we see that there are many cultures portrayed in this district of Maharashtra. So we see that everything we usually see only on the screen, now we can see live, and it's very, very joyful, and we love to see.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
They enjoy it.
I enjoy a lot, and I see the hard works from the team, the India team, and we feel it, and we feel welcome, and it's really a great night for enjoying Mumbai. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Mustafa Kamal. I am here for the International Labour Organization, where I am a global coordinator for Green Jobs.
Tell your experience. India is now first hosting the G20 presidency. How's your experience coming in India?
Well, I think the Indian presidency of the G20 comes at the critical moment We are in a difficult situation in the world, in particular in the world of work, with issues of employment, income, raising cost of living. So what I see is a presidency that is putting an emphasis on the development imperatives, advancing social justice, and making sure that the largest economies of the world can work together in addressing these common challenges. So it's very promising. And from us in the ILO, looking at the advancement of social justice and the promotion of a decent work in times of crisis. So that focus on development and sustainability together is a very encouraging move from the presidency.
So you highlighted the world problems related to employment and all. You think that these types of meetings through G20 will help the poor countries and we resolve their problems in 2030s, around 2030s?
Obviously, the G20 countries have a lot of leverage. These are some of the largest economies around the world. What is important is that the G20 does not just discuss issues, but that they take decisions and that they act on those decisions. I think in the world we are in it today, action is what people are waiting for. Not just discussions, but action and timely action. And I think the G20 can show leadership by action.
What do you think about India's, at the time of COVID, India helped many countries that you see the India efforts during COVID on vaccination and all?
Well, we heard this morning, the use of technology and this notion of data for development and using technology for development is critical, and it is indispensable for developing economies. And the way India has used drone to dispatch vaccines and medical treatment and equipment was something that could be replicated elsewhere. So I think this focus on data for development is absolutely critical. Thank you.
Yes, of course. I just want to mention just only one sentence. I am enjoying here now. So thank you so much. So, of course, right, this place is very touch me, right? So I think this is the place has the inspirational spirit, right? Yes. So this is the positive signal here if we come here, right? So this is I would like to tell you.
Also, we can see that they have prepared this place, and it gives us another perspective of Mumbai, where we went to the cities in the 3 days, and this one we can see the nature. Now we know that Mumbai has a very great potential of nature for the tourism, and it's really beautiful.
All right.
Yeah, it's very scenic. Besides the historical memories and also the stories, we can see that it's a beautiful place, and we need to take the memories of that piece. So we take so many good pictures and ensure that our people in Indonesia will also know about this place from our pictures.
All right.
We're very happy and very. I think very gratitude for the opportunity that the Indian presidency gave to us. Your hospitality is beyond, it's above the bar, and putting it all pressures to the other G20 countries is going house in the previous G20, and we're very welcome and also loving that you really blend in the cultural thing in this event and making us more learn about India, not only about the development itself.
All right.
I really impressed by this place. This is made of one lava. It's ancient eruptions heritage. Then you have the kind of origins of the Buddhism that is later imported to Japan. So I'm very, very happy to be here.
I'm Guillermo Devoto. I'm Consul General of Argentina in Mumbai and also a delegate for the G20.
Sir, you have been here since the whole evening today. So how you experienced Mumbai's culture, Maharashtra's culture? And
I've been 3 years here enjoying the Maharashtra culture. Wonderful event tonight.
India is now holding the presidency of G20. So how do you see India's leadership in this G20?
Well, very important. Many interesting things to say, especially from developing countries. a different point of view. We had the presidency in Argentina in 2018, and we worked together with India, very well connected with both countries. Huh?
Sir, what do you expect from India in this 1 year of its presidency and the events which are going on?
Absolute success, because they have a very good agenda, very interesting subjects. I think it will represent, India will represent all the world, no? Develop, all the world. So it was very important role of India in this occasion.
Sustainable goal of 2030 is still there despite the 2 years of COVID gap. So do you think 2030 is quite achievable goal?
Oh yes, I'm sure it will be, yes. Thank you.
Sir, how did you enjoy beating those drums and Indian culture, especially in the Maharashtrian culture, which you enjoyed today in the evening? Cultural event and followed by this digital extravaganza.
It is fantastic, but it's for me it's not unusual because I'm Portuguese, and in Portugal we have the same kind with big things. So also in Brazil there's also the same kind. So there's very thing in common with the sound, the tambour, you know, the drums. So it's really very nice.
So India is having the presidency for the G20.
Yes.
What do you expect from India's leadership in this organization?
It's going to be the best presidency of G20 ever.
So what are the core things which world and particularly the G20 members expect from India?
Well, we're starting now, so we have many months of big discussions, but it's going to be very successful. I'm sure about it. I don't doubt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
You can just please introduce yourself with your designation.
My name is Pedro Henriques. I representing the European Union in the Development Working Group.
How was your experience?
Oh, my experience was amazing. I feel so privileged to have such an opportunity to play without knowing anything, of course, because there is so much work and talent behind this. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's.
How was your evening in the Taj Hotels and now at the Gateway?
Well, it was amazing. It was the hospitality here has been fantastic. It's been great. Yeah, it's really a privilege to be here in Mumbai. Yeah.
You learned some tricks about this Nashik and Punjabi Dhol and the Tasha. You played both very well.
Thank you very much for lying, because I just tried and it was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, and thanks again for the privilege.
We come to the issue of G20. How do you expect India in this year of presidency?
Well, India is putting a lot of leadership in this work. It's putting development at the center of G20 work, which is what's needed to tackle the short-term emergencies and the long-term challenges that await all of us, developing countries and developed countries alike. So we're seriously looking forward from UNIDO, which I represent. We're seriously looking forward to seeing how this momentum generates action. Yeah.
What are the core issues with G20 and especially India as its chair should focus on in coming years?
Well, I think the main point that the presidency is trying to pull is that there shouldn't be any trade-off or any false competition between the development agenda, the growth agenda, and the climate agenda and environmental. So, and it's exactly the way to go. There is no growth and there's no development that is not sustainable nowadays.
Are we going in a satisfactory way?
Excuse me?
Are we going in a satisfactory way?
Well, we are trying to change the course of things in a way that we walk the talk from the commitments to actual action. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. It was wonderful. After a long day of talking about, very substantive issues, India's G20 presidency, then to have a wonderful dinner at the Taj, so many different cultural shows, and then to come here at the Gateway and have such an incredible drumming session. It really got everybody very excited.
You were yourself involved. How did you experience it?
Well, I have to say, those drums are very heavy. So to see, the young ladies and boys holding those big drums is quite impressive. And putting on such a show, I think everybody was really, really impressed.
How do you see this cultural aspect? Because you also call it soft power. So engaging the different countries into it, how do you look at it?
Oh, I think it's really important because, few countries have, if any, has the rich cultural diversity that India has. It's really, truly incredible. And there's no better way to really convey that than to bring people to this country and to take them across the entire country. And that's really, I think, a really genius part of India's G20 presidency, is that all of the meetings are happening outside of Delhi, except the actual sort of summit. And every state, every region is getting an opportunity to really show the world its cultural richness. So I've had the opportunity so far to participate in a meeting in Andaman and Nicobar Islands, in Udaipur, now here in Mumbai, and it's going to be really an incredible next months through September. India on the world stage in so many different ways.
Sir, we heard you trying speaking few words of Hindi also, so how was that?
Hindi, Hindi बहुत मुश्किल है, but लेकिन मुझे भारत बहुत पसंद है, and I'm working थोड़ा. Hindi is coming थोड़ा. So you ask me in in 6 months from now, and I'll be speaking hopefully much better.
So you will be from India's side when the summit happens in Delhi.
Yes, I will be there. I will be there as well. Exactly. Speaking Hindi. हाँ. मेरा घर Delhi में. So we'll be looking forward to, I consider myself now a Delhiite, so looking very much forward.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Dhanyavad.
So wonderful. Well, I just absolutely loved it. It was fantastic, and I really enjoyed myself. It was something I'd never seen before, and I was fascinated culturally and emotionally and spiritually, and it was a really nice production.
Have you all, you came through the Safa tying part, and now you saw all the traditional dances, traditional folk of Maharashtra. Have you enlightened yourself as to how many culture, how many traditions are there in Maharashtra?
Oh, I was fascinated by that. In particular, there was some with some red hats. Yeah. That must be native to this area as well. Yes, Kolis, that's right. Yeah. And I was very fascinated. So yes, I was open.
Which was the best piece you liked?
Well, the final one was just magnificent.
That's called Gundar.
Gundar.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so magnificent. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.